Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, 3 Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading 3 Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm very excited to have Julieanne Chazotte in the studio today with me. Julie is a 3 Principles practitioner and transformational life and business coach. She is passionate about helping people uncover the natural health of their own minds and flipping the conversation about stress on its head. She deeply believes that this is the one conversation that can change individuals' lives and the world. When we live from a healthy mind, we create a healthy life. Welcome, Julie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I always love to have a little history first. So tell me how you came across the principles and how it impacted your life. But how did you come across them first?
You know, somehow I was invited to Rohini's workshop in Malibu. And Youre, my husband, had introduced me to a video of the principles like a couple years before that. And I could not understand what they were saying. And so I just checked out and wasn't interested. And then I don't know if Rohini invited me. I'm not really sure. But that weekend, they started by saying, you'll get the most out of it if you can listen like a rock would listen. And so the whole weekend, I just let my mind go. And I heard so much. And it was the first time that I really, like, when people would point to "you're not your thoughts," I was like, meh, okay, great. But it never meant anything to me. And that weekend, I heard it, I understood it, and it already felt life-changing for me, just understanding that alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm always so impressed when people get that sort of light bulb moment immediately. That was not me, you can tell. I was a slow learner, but that's okay. I'm glad I stuck it.
Well, I've literally had that insight like over and over and over again. So it just goes deeper, I guess, over time.
No, it's true. You know, I think one of my first one was "You're Not Your Story." That was a great, and again, same thing as you. I see it again at a deeper level.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So your husband came across the principles before you did?
Yeah, he was in the coaching program, and they showed the video of Dickin, and he was really impacted by it. And then I think he wanted me to watch like a video like that in the beginning. But I just couldn't understand what they were saying.
Well, I was in the same coaching program. So
in the same year and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I first came across it in 2009, and then again in that 2015, and then again in 2016. And that's when it took hold.
Right around the same time as me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting.
We were on the same path together.
Yeah.
So I love this. I'm going to look at it here. You love the quote, "Every human being is sitting in the middle of mental health and they just don't know it." That's a very famous Sydney Banks quote.
Yeah.
So what was it about that one quote that got you so passionate and excited?
Okay, so I'm from New Jersey, so sometimes my insights have a New Jersey flair. And I heard it and I just got pissed. Like, I don't understand what that means. I don't know why they're saying it. I don't understand how we have innate mental health and we don't know it. Like, nothing about that quote made sense to me. But at a deeper level, I knew the not knowing was something that was telling me something. So I was like, if that's true, I want to know that. And then I just kind of kept listening, not even to try to understand that, but a lot of the insights that I would have would kind of help me see it. And then I remember the moment that I felt like it finally clicked, and I ran over to Rohini and I was like, I get it. Like, it's not my personal thinking that's healthy. It's what's happening when we're not in that. You know, the bigger mind that we are a part of is healthy. It can't be broken. And so I don't know, any insight that comes along those lines, I'm super excited about. Because that was not my experience before, you know?
Yeah, because you were looking at it from the personal thinking.
Yes, fix it, change it, make it better. Like, you're kind of screwed because bad stuff happened, and now this is the type of thinking you have. And this was like the exact opposite. That's why, to me, it's like it's flipping it on its head, you know?
Yeah. No, I know that. I think so many of us that have been through trauma or something like that, it can be we spent, lifetimes running from one thing to the other, trying to find the thing that's going to fix it.
Totally.
And to hear that, no, it's perfectly whole and healthy inside you right now. There's nowhere to go. In fact, actually just come home.
Yes, that was life-changing. That one thing, I mean, many things were, but that was definitely life-changing for me. And then like a similar moment like that happened when I was at the conference that they had recently in, I think it was Manhattan Beach. And I was asking about trauma, and I was asking Chip about it. And he was like, isn't it amazing that the human spirit can't be broken? And I was like, whoa, like, he really sees that, but I didn't. And then I did this interview with Sammy Rangel, who runs an organization called Life After Hate. And he has this incredible story, life story. And he was in like maximum security prison for 3 years at the point that this had happened, where somebody knocked on his door. And then it led to this conversation where he basically woke back up to himself. And that was the moment I saw, oh yeah, it's never broken. Like if a knock on the door is the start to that, then it was never broken in the first place.
Yeah. Wow. Now tell me a bit, if you're comfortable. So I know that you grew up and you said that you had doubts about your own mental health.
Oh my God, yes.
I love how I was saying that so gently.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about that. What were your thoughts as a young girl that led you to believe that? What were you thinking in the moment?
Well, I had some like trauma happen early, and it was, significant, and there were many instances and different versions and stuff. And I was very emotional, and I was the youngest of 5. So there was already a lot going on in the house, and I didn't really know what to do with my emotions, and people didn't seem to understand them. So it just made me feel like something was wrong with me personally. And so that was just really hard growing up like that. I'm sure I'm not the only person that has that experience.
Exactly.
And so I just couldn't really make sense of my emotions, and I literally thought they were me. Like there was no separation between me and them. Yeah. And there's lots of interesting stories, but just that main theme kept playing out over and over again, basically.
Yeah. So you basically felt that, the feelings you were having, if they were coming through you, then they were yours.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Julie's emotions, tied to who I thought I was, basically.
Yeah. I know, isn't it refreshing when we realize that those thoughts are just running through us, and as they run through everybody, and they're all up for grabs, and we sort of grab a few of them and stick them in a bag, and they become ours.
Yeah, totally. And then to realize, like, not only are you not the only person having them, but like it's actually a fairly common experience. That already was super helpful for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think most of us just want to feel I was about to say normal, and it's actually when I'm thinking that, I'm reflecting about something else that you talked about, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I think most of us, just want to feel that we're not damaged and we're not broken and we're normal, and everybody else goes through the same things. But what made me smile when I brought that up is you gave a talk recently on being ordinary. And when I use the word normal, I'm thinking of ordinary. And I loved your take on being ordinary. So can we touch on that a little bit today?
Yeah. It's really funny, too, because people were saying that they had such a reaction to the word, and that was so interesting to me, which I understood once I heard it. But for me, it was such a breath of fresh air to realize that being ordinary is all that's required, and it's already perfect, and lots of great things happen.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing extra I have to do, which for much of my life, I was trying to do the extra. And that was creating a tremendous amount of stress for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I mean, some people are afraid of that word ordinary.
Yes.
They think that there's something wrong with it.
Yes.
And that they should be excelling and extraordinary. And, but it's not. It's the beauty is in the not striving. And
yes. And then I literally saw that the best version of me was when I was, the best things were happening to me when I was just feeling ordinary.
Yeah.
The best ideas, the best coincidences, just things were so much easier and way more alive when I wasn't trying to be extra.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds, I mean, because when you're trying to be extra, it sounds like you're in your head a lot. You're futurizing and, you know, focusing on the things that aren't there already. But when you're completely quiet and happy in the ordinary, then you're living in the present moment and it's all just...
Yeah, and you just get to be like everybody else. Like
Yeah.
my version of it was like this insane standard that I kept. If I wasn't meeting that standard, which was impossible, I was stressed. So I was pretty stressed.
Yeah.
But then when I just saw, oh, I get to be myself. And then I would look back at those moments that I was doing that at that time. And those were actually by far the best moments of, I'm thinking particularly like when I was coaching teachers, you know, I would put a lot of pressure on myself. But the best moments I had were the moments when I was just being me and relating to people. And we would have like the most extraordinary things happen by being ordinary.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like I said, you're just present. So you're available for those amazing moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And connected to people. Yeah, which was not happening when I was striving for a standard, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I could barely see the people in front of me when I was doing that.
And that was before you came across the principles. But you could see that then.
I didn't see it clearly, but when I look back, I can see what was making those incredible moments so incredible. I just couldn't have named it back then. I still thought I had to do something to get there. And then when this understanding helped me see, oh my God, it's when I wasn't doing anything that I got there.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I know. I mean, I think as a culture, we're so caught up in that, you know, the doing and, you know, the shoulding and the doing. And it's really about being, you know, quiet and being in the being where we're the happiest.
Yeah, there was this incredible moment I had one day where we were like delivering a presentation to the staff and of teachers, and there was a lot of tension at the time. It was like a very historical time period in education there, and there was a lot of stress. And the thing that happened was I just was in a good feeling, connecting to the good feeling of the people in front of me. And the room changed. The tone of the room changed from one where you could like cut it with a knife to one where it was like really open and relaxed.
Wow.
And so it's like the principles gave me an understanding of why that happened, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's like as we say, it's a description of what's, you know, of what's happening, how the system works. And once we understand how the system
You're like,
works.
oh,
Exactly.
It's been happening that way the whole time.
Yeah, really. I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. That's so great. So I want to know, you say that, where's this thing here? I want to get it right. But you talk about a healthy mind. Now, what is a healthy mind to you? Because I know that, you know, some people might sort of get into a mind can be healthy and unhealthy and judgment and labels. But what does that mean to you, a healthy mind?
Let's see. In the simplest way, I think what it means to me is I started realizing that, okay, I'm not I'm Julie and my feelings are not the same thing, right? But they are giving me feedback on the quality of thinking I'm having in any given moment. And so the more familiar I became with the feeling, the more I could kind of see what felt healthy to me and what felt less than healthy. And I'm totally fine now. Well, not totally, but way more fine now with the full range. Like, I don't need to be in a good feeling to be okay. And that was a huge thing for me because I was trying to have that all the time. Yeah. So it's okay for me to go back and forth, but it's almost like a North Star to remember what it feels like when I'm relaxed and there's healthy thoughts flowing that feel good to me. Like, it just became a compass to me. And that has been extremely helpful because I can kind of see now more where my mind will do things that like will spiral me down in energy. And it's innocent and it's going to happen continuously, but it's just nice to know what's happening.
Yeah, no, exactly. I love that. I was in a low mood a few days ago and I'm not normally, I'm usually like really, takes a lot for me to be in a low mood. But in the past, it would have really scared me, you know, because my mother suffered from depression. So I think I ran from anything that could start taking me down that rabbit hole. Whereas now, and I think this is what you're pointing to, it's okay if you're in a low mood. I don't fight it. I don't try and control it. It certainly doesn't scare me like it used to. And it passes. I mean, I was aware that it hung around, a couple of days, but I was like, well, okay, it's just as long as this one wants to be here for. But, and then before you know it, it moves like everything does.
Totally. And then that's already a million times healthier than what I was doing before. Like I was adding to it, trying to change it, resisting it, getting scared of it. But then what you're saying, when you see that it moves, that you're still okay, even though that's happening, that's already a million times healthier to me.
No, exactly. Yeah. It is the resisting what is that I think leads to the most frustration in my life. I'm sure the only one that thinks that way.
Oh my God, no. I definitely, and like also to think that I was resisting, it became like a dance, So it's like it would come and it was like I could literally look and see the dance I was doing with those kinds of thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll have insights for the rest of my life about that. But it is interesting to see like, oh, I just literally did the same dance over and over and over again with them,
Yeah. I love it when Amy Johnson talks about, habits. I mean, habits don't have to be, physical addictions or something like that. I mean, we can have habits with our thinking, just like you described. It's the same dance.
Totally. Yeah. And if I don't know maybe at some point I'll call it something else, but if I don't know what healthy feels like, right? If I don't know what that feels like, I'm probably going to keep looking at what's unhealthy, what feels familiar, what's, you know what I mean? Like what I'm used to. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I just didn't even know there was somewhere else to look at all,
Yeah. And I think what you're pointing to again is that when people, I love this expression, don't listen to the words, look for the feeling. And it's like, what feeling?
Yeah, totally.
But I think that's what you're saying, is that you felt what it was to have a healthier experience. And so it's really following that feeling.
Yeah. And I said to someone, I think it was today or yesterday, I was like, let's say I understand this much about a healthy mind and there's like this much to understand. This much has changed my life. So that's what makes me so excited, because every little thing I see, it like literally changes a lot, not just a little, Yeah. It changed my relationship. It changed my business. It changed my relationship with myself, which I think is first and foremost the best blessing,
So tell me about that. I was going to ask you. So tell me a bit about how it impacted your relationship with Draw, coming across this and your deepness.
So Draw and I were in a very fun dance of breaking up and getting back together. And I could look at the earlier trauma in my life and, give lots of reasons as to why that was happening. But it wasn't changing. And no matter how many relationship workshops we went to, it didn't matter. Nothing was really changing about it. And it stayed equally as hard. And then we did an intensive with this understanding. And during those 3 days, we were with Angus and Rohini. And during those 3 days, I can't even really tell you what I saw, to be honest. The main thing I saw was, I guess it was the start of me seeing a healthier mind. Like, when I'm thinking X, Y, and Z, I can't trust that.
Yeah.
And so those times when I was feeling X, Y, and Z and I was trusting it, I would break up with Draw.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's funny. It's like...
But it is so... We do that, don't we? I love that. I mean, Angus says it so beautifully. Don't trust the low mood. It's
totally. And it was like my holy grail at that point.
Yeah.
I had to trust it because it was so uncomfortable and I didn't know what to do with it. So relationship, I think, has been the area where I've realized I have the most thinking on it. And so to start to feel what's healthy, what I can trust, what's actually just me in a low mood or decisions I made a long time ago, has helped me navigate. And then within 9 months of that, we got married. So we were breaking up for like 9 years. And then within 9 months, we got married.
Wow. That's amazing.
If that's not a transformation, honestly, I don't know what is.
That's so great. I love that. And it's, I mean, you call it a healthy mind. I think what it is for me, I have a real, and again, it's like either feeling or whatever is, neither one is good or bad, but I'm learning not to trust the fearful thinking. I mean, that was, operating from fear never worked out for me.
Oh my God.
Because that to me is just, it's the personal thinking. Whereas when you're coming from a very sort of calm place of love, I mean, that's where I'm going to put my trust.
I'll tell people like, I'll go to Vegas and put my money on it. Like I'd put my money on that type of thought.
Yeah.
And that it's not on me to have it. I think that's another reason why I'm so passionate about a healthy mind, because it used to look like there was something I needed to do or to even have that. And the more I saw that, like, when I'm relaxed, I'm not even processing anything. I'm not looking for an answer. Like, things come to me that feel really natural. And so I had a million examples of that already. Kind of like what we said, it's like the understanding helps you understand what was already happening, right? But because I understood it, then I could just look for that more than listening to the fear, like you're saying, you know?
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, reflection, it's going into the past when you can use it in a positive way, like you're saying, is to be like, now I know how the system works.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what was going on here.
Totally.
Yeah.
And in relationship, it was just the hardest because that thinking looked the most compelling to me, the fearful one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So you said it also affected your business. Tell me about how it affected your business.
Oh, wow. It affected it in a million ways. But I think the one that I had like an insight that almost like blew me off my chair. So that's the one that's coming to me. And I was just reflecting on, okay, thoughts moving through us. And I don't know exactly what I was reflecting on, but something like that. And I was thinking about my business, and all of a sudden I feeling this tension. And I was like, oh, I don't have to be more than I am for my business to work and be successful. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It just stopped making sense to me that I would have to somehow be more or different than who I already am. And I'm not saying it always happens like this, but honestly, within like 2 months of that insight, my business tripled.
Wow. And
it was like all this thinking just dropped that I was really like kind of caught on. Yeah. So it doesn't always happen like that, but it happened like that at that time. And it just felt a lot freer and more open for me to just be myself. And like I said, I mean, this is in contrast to what I was doing when I was coaching teachers, which was having a ton of pressure on myself. And I still feel pressure, that I'm learning from now, but nothing like it was. So that's the one that comes to me for business.
I love what you're saying, because I think as coaches, I'm thinking back to, we were both at the Soul Center series a couple of, about 3 weeks ago now, when the Pranskys were there. And I just, oh my God, the takeaway for me from that weekend was George's comment that, as practitioners, all we have to do is love our clients. And to know that it's we don't have to, we're not there to fix anybody. We're just there to love them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We don't have any answers that they don't already have. So, that pressure that we put on ourselves to be more, like you're saying, more than who we are. No, who we are is enough.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's funny, because that was like, I've told the story a million times now, but when I would waitress, I would, I was young. It was my first like full-time job, and, tables would be rude. People would be rude, and I just remember going like, I don't want to be rude. Like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so I just had the idea to kill them with kindness. That was literally the thoughts that occurred to me. And that's what I did for whatever it was, 7 or 8 years. And I had like miraculous things happen, and people would come in a bad mood and leave in a better mood. Like all these things that were really amazing. And then somehow when I became a coach, I thought it was somehow different than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like that was all made up, but I didn't know I had made that up. So I actually find that I just keep coming back to what I already knew, you know? deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I know. I think my mum used to say to me when I was little, she goes, "Oh, you're so Pollyanna, you're so gullible,
Yeah.
all these things." And I remember thinking to myself, if I have a choice, I'd much rather be happy and be Pollyanna and have a few mistakes along the way than be, sort of on guard.
That's the words that came to me too.
Yeah. It's like, what a way to live.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely feels better to be in a good feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And much better thinking seems to happen from there. So
yeah, well, that's wonderful. So we are actually coming close to at the end of our time, but what have you got anything coming up? Any workshops or anything? I know you do a few workshops.
Yeah, I don't have any workshops happening right now, but I am creating a course that'll be coming out soon, and it's about a healthy mind.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, and tell us a bit more about how does that look like? Is it a day, a workshop, or
it'll be online over the course of a few weeks with live webinars. And if people were interested, they could go to my website. I'll post information there. But I'm super excited about it because I feel like this conversation just has so much juice to it. And really that's all people I think are looking for, is to feel like better in themselves,
I know. I think everybody, if they're real, I think it's a Sid quote somewhere in one of his books, but anybody is really looking for is just a feeling of happiness and to be at peace.
Yes.
It's, we get caught
1,000%.
up. Exactly. And knowing that this understanding can bring you that regardless of your external circumstances is to me just this sort of just the best.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So give us your website for anybody that's listening on the podcast and can't see you. So
it's Julieannechazotte.com. Should I spell it?
Yes, I would.
Okay. It's JULIEANNECHA Z as in zebra OTTE.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming all the way here today. I know it's a big trip across town. I'm just so thrilled that we're in the studio with me. So.
I loved it.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, I will see you very soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching and mentoring packages, please reach out to me at Adey-Jones@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.